When you think of the 2000s, your brain might go to something like this, or even this. But you know what I think of? Anthropomorphism, the attribution of human characteristics or behavior to a god, animal, or object. Wow, that sounds boring. But Hollywood loved it and would start making anything imaginable as human-like as possible, including mice. Mickey Mouse, Mighty Mouse, Jerry Mouse, Atomic Mouse, and my favorite, Stuart Little. This Michael J. Fox talking mouse was a pop culture icon throughout the early 2000s, which led to quite a few video games being released throughout his relevancy. Were they good? Were they bad? Were they dust collectors or collector's items? That's what I'm talking about today. Let's start things off with Stuart Little: The Journey Home for Game Boy Color. This game was developed by the now defunct Tiertex Design Studios, known for making the critically acclaimed James Bond franchise. Oops, just kidding. They're known for making James Pond with a P, a game about a frog that kills people, I think. Oops, just kidding. They're not known for this either. They just ported the sequel to the Sega Game Gear. But they did make Bob the Builder Fix-It Fun also for the Game Boy Color. Don't believe me? Yep, I think they made it. Now you may be asking yourself, why? Why am I talking about a mouse that hasn't had anything new in almost 2 decades? Well, first, because I really like this guy, okay? If it was between Stuart and Remy, I'm going with Stuart, okay? I don't care what the f you cook up, a plane is killing your ass. But Stuart in general was a big part of my childhood, and also because I want to see how accurate these games are to the films they're based on. And after playing this, I can proudly say, yeah. This game released in a very awkward time frame. It wasn't on store shelves until almost 2 years after the release of the first film, and nearly another year before the release of the sequel, which I feel like makes this game not so much a movie tie-in game per se, but more a promotional piece for the second film. I came up with this conclusion because of the hype sticker, okay? I really have no other idea why this game was made. Stuart Little is a 1999 film about a mouse named Stuart that gets adopted by humans. Snowbell, the house cat, is not a fan of the new addition to the family, so he goes to the Alley Cat Mafia to put a hit on Stuart. God, I forgot how dark this movie is. 2 Italian accented mice posing as Stuart's parents order Stuart to return home.
But now we can be a family again.
Absolutely. Are these salted?
Stuart takes the bait and goes to a golf course where he will eventually be killed. But before he meets his demise, Snowbell swoops in to save the day. The message here is that family is family, no matter what talking creature they may be. And you know what you call that? Peak cinema!
Talk to the bud.
But let's get back to this masterpiece. The first thing you'll see in Stuart Little: The Journey Home is this screen, hyping the player into thinking that this game is filled with, quote, danger and suspense. But then the first mission is just Stuart doing his laundry. What kind of danger is this? Let's see what our older brother George has to say. At least I think that's George. The toaster might give you some leverage in getting to the next step. Oh, I get it. Toaster, mouse. The real meat of this game, if you'd even call it that, shuffles between simple side-scroll platforming and extremely lackluster racing. And you'd never guess who I'm racing against. Yes, my mobbed-up mice parents. The further into this game you get, the more half-assed everything feels. Besides this alligator in the sewer, there's really no enemies to be found here. And Stuart does have a health meter, but the only way you take damage is by either falling or running into walls. I'm not lying. That's the biggest threat in this game. Walls. Well, at least Stuart's having fun. What the hell's going on, Stuart? First it was toasters, walls, now gobs of chocolate? You want to tell me something? Do I gotta put you on watch? The game's send-off includes a rather unpleasant-looking picture of the Little family, and the official sneak peek of the sequel that was hinted at on the front of the box. Yeah, sneak peek my ass. The way you were hyping this up, I was thinking I was gonna get the second film on my Game Boy Color. Now I didn't have fun and I got robbed blind. But I'm sure that's what a lot of kids thought when buying this game back in 2001. But it's just this. And honestly, thank God. The last thing I want is for this thing to move. Now let's talk about Stuart Little 2 for the Game Boy Advance. Although being another side-scrolling platformer, this is definitely a step up from the journey home both graphically and musically. This time the front of the box has a hype sticker that says, based on Stuart Little 2 the movie. Yeah, I'd hope so! Well, to give the sticker credit, this is the first movie tie-in game from the Stuart franchise. All you need to know about this film is that Stuart becomes friends with a bird named Margalo, but she's actually a jewelry thief that works for the villain named Falcon. Margalo steals Mrs. Little's wedding ring and flees the scene. Thinking that Falcon killed her, Stuart leaves home to find Margalo and escapes death more times than I can count. The movie ends with them rekindling their friendship, and Falcon literally blowing himself up. Although I do prefer this film over the first, everyone else begged to differ, which eventually led to, but going back to Stuart Little 2 on GBA, I must admit, the sprite work here is really good. Stuart himself doesn't feel as robotic as the previous game, and I'm not gonna lie, the environment around him makes me feel like I'm an actual mouse. As sad as that sounds, but holy hell. Give it some time and you'll quickly learn that this is not a casual gamer's wet dream. I've always had a love-hate relationship with the GBA, and this is something I'm not loving. What's with this game's proportions? The environment in general is just way too big for the screen we're working with. Like, I know damn well that this bug is not as big as a mouse on a fucking plane. Otherwise, we should never walk outside again. And don't even get me started on this. What was wrong with the side-scrolling? We were doing just fine on the plane and skateboard. Is the car too cool for that or something? This little tykes looking piece of We'll start jumping for joy because we're finally done with the racing. But now we're gonna go down a sink drain to find my mom's wedding ring. The only gameplay here is scaring spiders with Stuart's flashlight. This'll make you wish the Littles would turn on the garbage disposal so we can roll the credits as soon as possible. But this level is in no way comparable to the boss fight. You see the silhouette of Stuart's body in the bottom left? Yeah, that's my health. And for some reason, only on this level, it drains over time. So I have to keep getting health every 5 seconds, otherwise I'll burn in the bushes below me. If the bugs, kites, and the soccer ball of death on the way there don't kill you, consider yourself lucky, because you have exactly 0 seconds to fight this thing. And the ending, of course, does not do the torture justice. It's literally just the film's ending. But out of all the Stuart games, this is definitely the most accurate film-to-video game adaptation there is. And that's pretty much all I can say.
Wow, Stuart. Good things sure do come in small packages.
It's time for Stuart to kick it into 3D with Stuart Little 2 for PS1. This game was developed by the now-defunct Magenta Software, known for such gaming classics as Muppet Monster Adventure and Buzz Jr. Jungle Party. I think I see the problem here. Okay, I'm done with the silliness. This is 3D we're talking about. This is the big time. Is there a real reason for someone to play a game about a sequel from a dead franchise based on a fucking awful children's book in the present day? No. This game is nothing but a collectathon. Gameplay-wise, it's like anything else of this genre. This game doesn't feel uncooked. Rather, it doesn't have enough flavor. It needs some seasoning, some spice or something. Now don't get me wrong, the graphics, they have their charm. For the most part. But that's not what I'm worried about here. What am I looking at? You call this driving? I call this a tech demo, not the fucking final product. If your minigames don't add anything to the game itself, then don't add them. I don't care if your game is 10 minutes long. Please. I am a talking mouse voiced by bootleg Michael J. Fox.
Call me Super Stuart!
The possibilities are endless. But what do I do instead? Race a dung beetle through some sewage. Oh, Well, at least I can express myself through the boss fight, which is night and day compared to the GBA port. Yeah, not a lot of creativity went into this one. All you do is jam the propeller up Falcon's ass until he drowns himself in the Hudson River. What a heartfelt ending. If anything, the PS1 port is a pretty good time waster. And you're also killing two birds with one stone here, with movie clips acting as cutscenes between levels. Although it looks like the film was found in Chernobyl, you basically watch the entire movie while playing the game. Alright, that's a nice bonus, I'll admit it, but I'm still not satisfied. There's gotta be something out there that can rectify this mouse's legacy. Something photogenic. It's November 14th, 2005, and Stuart just did a career suicide with whatever the hell this was. But suddenly, when no one saw it coming, Magenta Software along with Sega both looked at that dying mouse and said, hey, let's give it a camera. Stuart Little 3 Big Photo Adventure is an ambitious, and I can't believe I'm saying this, fun 3D platformer. I don't know what these devs were smoking, but they checked every box imaginable. 1 second Stuart's skateboarding, now he's flying a helicopter. 1 second he's watering plants, now he's flying a jetpack. This is absurd. How often can I say that I just got done playing as a culturally appropriated Stuart Little operating a fucking tank? The main thing you collect in this game is called Flash. Collect enough Flash and you'll be able to take a photo for your scrapbook. But in order to do that, you have to complete challenges that correlate with the theme of the photo. These challenges can range from beating a friend in a speedboat race to completing a 9-hole game of mini golf with my mobbed up father.
We have time and a golf course. What could be better?
This is literally the same mouse from the first movie, and the same actor returned to voice him too. I guess he left the life and became a mini golf master, because you face this mouse every time you hop into a new area. That's 45 holes total. And I'm not gonna lie, it's fun! And the lady mouse from the first film is actually his wife, but she's nowhere to be seen in this game. Well, you gotta numb the pain somehow.
Mamma mia! A hole-in-one, hey!
I really only have a couple of problems with this game. The first is, once again, how awful Snowbell's face is.
Your first photo is of me.
They had 4 games to fix this cat, yet they failed every time. This thing operates as your central hub to get from place to place, and follows you around to make it convenient for you to find him. And if I want to go to the hub, I gotta look directly into his soul in order to use it. Apparently I can put my face on in-game characters using the PlayStation's iToy camera. But even if I had that piece of plastic, not even my good looks are fixing that. And I don't know where this music came from, but this is not Stuart Little. I can't tell if I'm playing The Sims or if I'm trapped in an elevator. The voice acting department must have been slim pickings, because every child in this game sounds like a stay-at-home mom with 3 kids and a mortgage on the house.
What's wrong, Katie?
My kite's stuck in the tree and I can't get it down.
Honestly, it's best to just mute the entire thing. Now listen, could these things be better? Yes. Do some of the mini games feel like chores?
To start with, can you water my bouquets? Fantastic, Stuart. You have saved all my bouquets.
Yay!
Can you now see if you can water my potted plants? Well done, Stuart. You have watered all my potted plants.
Yay!
Can you try and water them, please?
Yes. Is Stuart really doing 90 in his own backyard? Yeah, anything's possible at this point. But at least there's something here. This game actually feels like it has a pulse. With it being just a huge sandbox, I can do whatever I want when I want. Which is nice. I don't have to constantly collect things. If I want to jump through a goddamn tire swing in a 4x4, I can do that. Entertainment-wise, this is definitely the go-to game. It's almost like the developers saw a pre-screening of the third film and knew it was going to be Stuart's final nail in the coffin, so they did everything in their power to do the poor mouse justice. But as we all know, it was too little, too late.
I guess there were too many flowers even for you, Stuart. Would you like to have another go?